Good morning. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Busy show on tap. We're going to meet Ravens first-round pick Nate Wiggins for the first time today. But that's not all. We'll also meet Ravens seventh-round pick Nick Samac from Michigan State as well. Also coming up a little bit later on was PLL Draft week. We'll catch up with Whipsnakes coach Jim Stagnitta. There you go. There's our guy. And Cameron Weston as we make our weekly trip to Bowie to chat with the Bay Sox. Cameron Weston, pitcher who just got called up. We will chat with him this morning as well. So a lot to do on a Thursday edition of the program. The other thing we have to do on a Thursday edition of the program is bitch about the bullpen. Orioles do win. Yeah. Way better to be bitching up about the bullpen when you win. The Orioles did that. 7-6. You don't really get to see 12-inning games anymore in baseball. It just kind of doesn't happen any longer.
Yeah, we felt special, huh?
Not really. Nervy as hell. As the game went on, at one point I was confident that my decision was going to come down to Bradish or Santander, and it was going to be controversial, whichever one I picked. If I picked Bradish, people were going to be mad because Santander hit the home run and made the great play in right field. If I picked Santander, people were going to be mad because Bradish went 5 strong innings. Then after that point, I was confident that it was going to be a debate between Mountcastle and Suarez. That, Mountcastle hit the go-ahead home run, but Suarez might have given him 2 innings where he had to put runners on second base in both innings and still work out of it until that didn't happen. So my brain just kind of defaulted to what was the last good thing that occurred. And so Jorge Mateo gets to say he was man of the match because he put him back ahead with the RBI single and scored what proved to be the game-winning run. Was he really the man of the match? I don't know. It was the weirdest game I think I've ever seen in my life. I have no idea. But Jorge Mateo gets to go up on the wall, so he's got that going for him. He's on the wall now officially more times than Adley Rutschman has been this season, which I'm starting to think just might be the bit. The bit might be how long can we keep Adley Rutschman off the wall. But Jorge Mateo goes up as the man of the match. Now, look. The story of the game, of course, was what happened in the 9th inning. And it's really there's so many layers to this. So if you missed it after the game, Brandon Hyde said that Craig Kimbrel is still their closer. Sure. Cool. Hey, he's got a track record and this is a legend we're talking about. It becomes problematic. I think everybody knows that I've been a Brandon Hyde defender. I think everyone knows that I'm someone that believes that you don't create this culture in spite of the manager, and I think that in baseball that's what matters the most. I actually think that with most coaching, everybody wants to beat up Brandon Hyde last night for going to Keegan Aiken. You are obsessing over a very small sample size of at-bats this season that oddly say that C.J. Abrams has been better against lefties than he's been against righties. It's an extraordinarily small sample size. For his career, C.J. Abrams is a sub-200 hitter against lefties. Asking a manager to ignore that number in favor of the small sample size number in the decision that you make is silly. I want to say something stronger than silly, but I'll just go with silly. It was the right move. It didn't work out. It was the right move. Now, if you want to be fair in your criticism of Brandon Hyde, if it's Brandon Hyde specifically who is stubbornly sticking to the idea of Craig Kimbrel being the closer, that's fair game. I think it's more complicated than that. I have gotten the sense over the years that a lot of times when we don't like a Brandon Hyde lineup or a decision, that it's not always specifically Brandon Hyde who is making those decisions. That it is either A, in concert with the front office, or sometimes a decision made by the front office. Now, I don't know about this. It might very well be that Craig Kimbrel, Buck Showalter had an issue with this, right? Like, we all know I love Buck. I worship at the altar of Buck Showalter. I don't think that works as a campaign catchphrase, but we'll continue to see if it does rhyme. I got that going for me, which is nice. But Buck Showalter had this thing in him where he never saw a player for what they were. He always saw a player for what they were when they were at their best. And Jim Thome was a great representation of this. Buck Showalter continued to treat Jim Thome like he was Jim Thome when he arrived in Baltimore. He sure as F was not. He was a guy dogging it to the end of his career. That dogging it's unfair.
He broke some records with the Orioles.
Yeah, thank you.
Not giving him enough credit.
I'm sure he was still attempting to put out an effort. He stunk. He used to be Jim Thome. It's like saying today that this is still Tiger Woods. No, it's not. It's a guy named Tiger Woods who used to be Tiger Woods. Vlad Guerrero was the same way with Buck. He treated guys like they were who they were when they were at their best. And maybe that's what's going on here with like Brandon Hyde can't consider the possibility that Craig Kimbrel ain't it. Because in his mind, he has such reverence for what Craig Kimbrel has been. Maybe. I don't know. It's also possible that the amount of money that Craig Kimbrel makes is playing a factor in this. It's also possible that they're simply not confident in their other options at the moment. And so until a better one becomes clear, they're kind of hell-bent on making it work with Craig Kimbrel. It's possible that they are concerned about the ramifications for the club if they were to say to Craig Kimbrel, you're not the closer anymore. It's over. All of those things are possible, but none of them are acceptable. None of them. I need to find the context. I have been told by a couple of people that apparently a few weeks ago, Yanier Cano said he didn't like pitching in the ninth inning. I need more of that context. I also need to know, like, does your opinion change when there's a crisis? Because he looked comfortable in the ninth inning on Saturday in Cincinnati. I'd be willing to consider Albert Suarez's whiff rate has been great this season. He doesn't have the natural heat of maybe your prime closer. But if Yanier Cano is simply unwilling to pitch in the ninth inning, which seems extraordinary to me, like there are bigger problems with that. But if that really is the answer, is that utterly Yanier Cano is unwilling, then I at that point would explore Suarez for now. I don't think it's a great idea to be throwing darts with a team that's trying to win a World Series, but Craig Kimbrel's throwing a dart too. You're just praying that you get a different result. I think for a lot of people, they believe the answer right now with Craig Kimbrel is he has to go to the DL, or the injured list, sorry. He has to go to the IL. That you just got to say to him, dude, whether you think you're hurt or not, there's something wrong, so you got to reset. If you want to give him another shot after that, give him another shot after that. But for the meantime, he's got to go to the injured list. That's the argument that a lot of people are making. And I think I'm more inclined to consider that than I am inclined to throw him back out there on Friday night against the Diamondbacks. I'm befuddled by this being the thing that you cling to. By the unwillingness to consider the idea that this doesn't make sense anymore. And I know they probably have some peripheral stats they look at and say, he hasn't, like, it's not like he doesn't know how to pitch. And we all saw the same thing on Friday night. He still is capable of pitching. But to try to pretend like the results since last year's postseason aren't what they are, this is really borderline on pure insanity. Like, insanity. Why is it worth it? I mean, it's one thing if it's your guy that's been here for 5 years and has gotten the job done for you and has succeeded, and you say, look, we owe it to him to ride this thing out with him and try to figure out if it can work. And I get you're paying him a lot of money, and it's a real bummer that you're paying him this much money and it's not working. But it's part of the problem that I had with when you paid him the money. Like, to me, I'm like, you think it's the answer? Like, I got no problem with Craig Kimbrel being on the team, and I continue to say that. I think Craig Kimbrel might be able to help you. I still got to figure out exactly how, because it's getting harder and harder to trust him in leverage situations, but I still think that he can be one of the leverage pitchers on this team. But it feels more like we paid a guy $14 million, and we just have to force this, come hell or high water. It's easier for me to say, well, I ain't paying the guy $14 million, so I don't care.
I think it's also, it's May 9th, and, like we talked about with Jim Bowden yesterday, like this team is going to win a lot of games regardless right now, and we kind of saw that on display last night. They're going to fight no matter what and find ways, and, the Nationals are an inferior team, but yeah.
But, yeah.
And closers go through ups and downs a lot, unless they're Felix Bautista or Mariano Rivera. It's like
that is
he looked good for the first 2.5-3 weeks of the year, and now he's looked more like
that's a little bit different for a 35-year-old who also looked really bad at the end of last season, and the way that he's pounding after the mound after the walk last night, like, he doesn't seem right. And maybe some of that is he's just not used to this. I can't get inside Craig Kimbrel's head. I don't know. But you're too good to be attached to this guy. There is no track record here. There's no reason for you to be so enamored with Craig Kimbrel. He used to be a very good closer. I don't even like when we do he's a Hall of Fame caliber closer. He's not. If you want to say borderline, he certainly has a lot of saves in his career.
Got more than almost anybody.
More than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe there's some bizarro world where he ends up in the Hall of Fame one day just because there's nobody else to put in, or I don't know. But it's not here. There is no reason to be this attached. There is no reason to be this enamored. There's no reason to not explore what your options are. It's one thing to say, hey, we know that's something that we're going to prioritize in July. But as I keep saying, the difference in cost between trying to acquire a closer with pedigree and trying to acquire another quality bullpen arm is significant. So I want to do everything in my power. Because even if Craig Kimbrel is capable of still being helpful and still closing games, I'm going to doubt his ability to be your workhorse. And that's what you're going to need. So I would be very desirous of finding out if someone else could be in the next couple of weeks, month or two. That's where I'm at. So Brandon Hyde says he's sticking with Craig Kimbrel. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not stunned by it because it is much bolder. I'll always default to it's easier for a team to do the thing that doesn't require something bold. It requires something bold to say to Craig Kimbrel, dude, you're not the closer. And I don't think that the Orioles are prepared to do that. But at some point, you just can't keep going through this. That can't be the answer, is to continue to go through it. Orioles do for the 13th consecutive time, which is really amazing. That's 13 consecutive series when they have faced the possibility of being swept, that they have won the game that has prevented them from being swept. From like a sheer odds perspective, that's insanity. It's insane.
The weird part is that, in the ALDS, they did get swept.
Yes, they did get swept in the playoffs. In the regular season, 13 consecutive times they faced a game where they would be swept in a series, and they've won that game. That is wild, man. That's really, really wild. They're off tonight. They get back home tomorrow night to open up a series with the Diamondbacks. What?
Mr. Splash bobblehead.
Oh, yes, you're very excited.
Got to be a
about
bounce
that.
back.
It's an Apple TV game tomorrow night, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go to avoid having to go through the thing where I fake that I'm an Apple TV subscriber for a little while.
You're just going to go to the
Well, there's not another season of Ted Lasso coming out, so I have nothing else that's attaching me to needing to be an Apple TV
that show I was telling you about
subscriber.
last night, the Jennifer Connelly and
I'm sure it's
Joel
lovely.
Edgerton show.
I'm sure it's lovely. It's not going to get a subscription out of me. Not the way it's going to work. All right. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. They are proud sponsors of County Sports Zone, countysports.zone for all of the latest in high school sports scores, schedules. Now we got brackets up for the postseason in baseball, softball, boys and girls lacrosse. Find it all, countysports.zone. Let's switch gears this morning. It's a pleasure to be joined now by one of the members of the Baltimore Ravens draft class. He is an offensive lineman out of Michigan State. He is Nick Samac, and he's with us on GCR. Nick, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to meet you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, of course. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, so
Super
Nick, I don't want to seem like I'm a weirdo or anything, but the night after that you got drafted, I was doing a deep dive, and I think I watched about 80 of your TikTok videos. Have you really not done a version of course, my favorite Noah Khan song, Dial Drunk? Have you really not recorded that yet?
I have not recorded it yet, but that's definitely been in the works.
Okay.
He's one of my favorite artists, so I'm always trying to bang out some new music.
That's awesome, man. So I know it's not relevant to football, but I want to talk about it. Like, where did this start? When did you first pick up a guitar in your life? When did you first decide, hey, I'm cool with posting music and letting people see it, and I don't give a crap what they think about it? Like, when did you realize you had a talent that was worth sharing with the world?
Yeah, so I would say I've been singing my whole life. Actually, on my TikTok, I got a video of my dad singing on there. That's where I kind of get that talent from. And then picking up the guitar, my center in high school, actually, back in 2017, was when I first picked up the guitar. He was really good with the guitar, so he taught me a little bit, and I kind of just implemented that with my singing. And I love music, so it's definitely something I do in my free time.
How much do you go out? Do you like perform live, or when you're in town, are you gonna be looking for like an open mic night somewhere in order to get out and work on some stuff?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something I'd be interested in. Obviously, the main focus right now is football.
Yeah, I get that.
I get that. Yeah, definitely. Anytime in the off season, I have a passion for music as well as football. So I definitely would love to do something with that. Karaoke nights are always fun too.
All right, so let's say Nick Samac, you guys win the Super Bowl next year, and you get to pick any artist to play at the party after the Super Bowl. Let's make it 3. You can pick 3 acts to play at the Super Bowl championship party next year. Who are the 3 acts that you're picking?
Okay, Luke Combs.
Okay.
Noah Khan for sure.
Yeah.
And then let's just I don't know. Morgan Wallen.
Okay, fair enough. These are all very popular acts, so this all makes all the sense in the world. Is it always? Yeah, no. Is it always like country acts, or like if we checked out Nick Samac at a open mic night, might you like randomly mix in like an acoustic AC/DC song or something like that?
Yeah, if I was able to learn it for sure. I don't know if that's in my wheelhouse or like something I could do or master, but I just found that country fits me the best, so that's
cool,
kind of
man.
what I stick with.
That's really, really cool. Nick Samac is with us here on GCR as we're meeting the Ravens' 7th round pick. All right, let's talk about the part of this that matters then. Let's talk about the football side of things, Nick. How did football become a part? How young were you when you started playing football? At what point in your life did you realize, like, hey, I'm a little bit bigger than everybody else? It might make sense for me to go try to maul some dudes.
Yeah, for sure. I started playing when I was around 7. My dad was my youth coach, and the moment I found out I was just a little bit bigger than everyone else was when I was playing running back for, my first few years, and he had to have a sit-down talk with me and tell me how to move to D-line my last year of youth league. So, I gained a little too much weight, and then I switched to O-line in middle school and kind of went from there. But, yeah, I've always had that itch to just, like, hit people on the field and just get after people physically. So that's definitely something I've been doing my whole entire life.
Is it a joy for you? Is it something that you realize, like, really quickly? Like, I really like mauling people. Like, I really like that feeling of tossing someone to the side. Did you know that immediately?
Yeah, 100%. I think I really found that in high school as I started developing through my junior year, and I was able to start varsity. I just, it was kind of an adrenaline rush anytime I got to get out in open space or just, getting a good combo block with my, tackle or center. And, I just love getting after people. It's, something I love to do. And it definitely gives me an adrenaline rush every time I do it.
You're a kid from Ohio. You end up at Michigan State. I'm going to guess there were a lot of people in your life that were disappointed that it wasn't Ohio State. Walk me through, was that because they didn't show enough interest? Was that because you wanted to get away? Like, what was the reason why it ended up being Michigan State?
Yeah, so Michigan State was my first, big Power 5. I don't know if it was offer or just – it was definitely my first Power 5 visit. And,
okay.
I was in a lot of MAC schools in the beginning, and then when I visited there, I fell in love right away. And Ohio State actually hadn't extended an offer at that point. And they offered me after the fact of me committing. And, I'm a loyal person. I stay true to, like, my gut and my gut instincts. So I just stuck with Michigan State, and I'm so happy I did because even with all the ups and downs, I feel like it's definitely built me into the player and man that I am today. And, definitely got a lot of backlash.
I was going to say.
People know how it's always the comment that I can't stand to hear is I'll root for you every game but one. I can't stand to hear that because, I think some comments are best just to be left to yourself, but, you're going to get that. There's strong fan bases in this sport, and I understand that. So I've definitely heard it all.
You didn't have any, like, issues with, like, somebody – you got somebody tickets to a game, and then you found out afterwards they showed up wearing their Buckeyes gear, did you?
Yeah, I've actually had that one time.
No!
I've had that one time. It's super good friend of mine. Super good friend of mine. It actually was a good laugh because they were all in the Michigan State student section or the parent section in the horseshoe. So it was pretty funny because he was just wearing red, and my dad was giving him crap
him the whole
about
time.
it, so.
Right?
Yeah, it was funny. It's all in good love though. He's a good friend of mine. Definitely had that happen.
Is there a similar problem now with Browns fans in your life? Have you been dealing with any of that over the course of the last couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's all the same thing. And I don't think it matters what level you get to. It's always going to be that strong fan base situation. It's a little different when you talk family and the people closest to you.
Of course.
They're going to ride for you no matter what, and that's what blood does. But, of course, there's always that strong fandom within this sport. But I think everyone's just super proud and super excited for the opportunities ahead for me and, everybody else.
Nick Samac is with us here on GCR. Nick, obviously, I'm sure you would have preferred to have not had to wait to the 7th round in order to hear your name called in the draft. But what does it mean to you, like, that you were not just picked, but picked by a team with the history, the culture, and the opportunity that exists with the Baltimore Ravens?
Absolutely. Yeah, obviously it's even Eric DeCosta said it when he called me. I'm sure he had a long day. Definitely was a long day, a long weekend, but I'm just blessed to have heard my name called at all. I've dealt with some adversity with injuries toward the end of my career, but I was still fortunate enough to get the Shrine Bowl invite as well as the Combine invite, and I was just super blessed, in that aspect to even get those opportunities. And then to hear my name called, I don't care if it was the first pick overall or the last pick in the draft. or even if I got an opportunity after the draft, I knew I was going to make the best of whatever opportunity I had. And, God works in mysterious ways, and I think he definitely did that for me this year.
You've been playing a lot of center, obviously. Was it always center for you, even in high school, or where did it come? And what was it that drew you to center? Obviously, there's the importance of the exchange goes so much beyond the other things you're asked to do at other offensive line positions. Why was it uniquely center for you?
Yeah, so I actually played guard and tackle in high school.
Okay.
And I think something that speaks highly about my versatility, at this level is, I moved to center. I moved to center because, sorry, 1 second.
You're good.
I moved to center because, that's kind of the void that needed to be filled, as a backup in the beginning at Michigan State. And I never snapped the ball before or played that position before college. And I kind of stepped up to the plate and just did my best to learn it and had a great career at center. So, I'm able to play all positions on the interior and, whatever the coach may need. But, yeah, definitely played center for all of college. Had some guard reps through spring and practice and things like that.
Have you gotten a sense of that from the Ravens yet? Like, do they want you to be focused on center and being sort of the primary backup? Clearly Tyler Linderbaum's a pretty good one, right? Like,
yeah, sure, yeah.
Or have they talked to you about that versatility and like, hey, we want you to be available to us to play at multiple positions?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we just finished up rookie mini camp.
Yep.
It was a short weekend, but a lot of information thrown at us at once, and it was a good experience. As far as that goal of being working into being the backup center or interchanging at either of the guard spots, I'm open to do everything. We haven't had a whole conversation yet, just because I've been a little limited. Just still very close to my clear date for my injury, but yeah, as far as what position I'm going to play or whatever, I'm available for anything, whatever the coach needs. But we haven't had a specific conversation yet.
What is it, just being here, right? Like just knowing that this is the dream. Has that moment hit you yet, or do you have to like get into a game, make sure you earn your roster spot, anything like that before you start having that moment where you pinch yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely, felt life-changing, right when it happened, and I was super excited to enjoy that moment on draft day with my family. But now it's definitely set in. It's a job. I got to earn everything that, I do from here on out. Nothing's going to be given to me, especially as, a seventh-round draft choice. I know I got a lot of work to do, and that's something I pride myself on. I'm a hard worker, and I'm a tough dude. So, yeah, it's just my job now. So I gotta fight every day to earn my spot and earn my respect.
I know there aren't any Michigan State guys on the roster. Anybody on the roster that you know at all, like just from battling against them or a camp somewhere? The football, we think of it as a big world, but like I know it's still kind of a tight-knit community.
Yeah, two that I could think off the top of my head was Julian Pearl from Illinois.
Okay.
One of our tackles. He signed in free agency. I trained with him in Exos, and then I went to the Shrine Bowl with him.
Cool.
And everything. So yeah, he's a good friend of mine now, and it's great to have him in the O-line room with me, a familiar face that always helps transitioning to a new environment. And Rasheen Ali, the running back from Marshall, actually played in my conference in high school.
Oh, cool.
And a funny story, we were getting ready to get on my I was getting ready to get on my flight to Baltimore for rookie minicamp, and he came up behind me and asked if I got drafted. And I said, yeah. And I looked at him, and he had an NFLPA sweatshirt on. I said, did you get drafted? He said, yeah. I said, and I looked at him, and I knew who had gotten drafted. So I said, you're the running back out of Marshall, aren't you? He said, yeah. And I said, how you feeling, man? And he goes, we're Ravens, man. I'm feeling great.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to have a couple familiar faces, and it's been a great transition so far.
Dude, that's awesome. What a cool moment that is to have in an airport, right? Like, bro.
It was super cool because I guess when I was doing my research on everyone that was drafted, I was paying attention to the draft the whole time. I had known that we had a running back from Marshall that we had just drafted, but I guess I didn't know he played at Shaker, so that was Shaker Heights, which is in my conference in high school, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. That is a really, really cool story. All right,
yeah,
so I'm gonna attempt this, and if you say, dude, no, I'm not doing it, then that's fine. But if I led you in and said, I am proud of all the punches that I've thrown in the name of someone I no longer know, would you give me a bar or two here?
Man, you put me on a spot. I'm trying to think of the words now.
For the shame of being young, drunk, and alone.
Oh man, I'll have to hit this on the next radio show. I'm too on the spot.
All right. It was worth the shot. It was worth the shot. I want to see the video though. I want that one. We're gonna
Yeah.
link up your TikTok account on our Twitter account for people to go check out your music, and we'll see if we can't maybe hook you up at some point. We got some friends in the music world around here. We'll see if we can't get you a gig somewhere down the road.
That's awesome. That would be awesome. Definitely. Like I said, gonna keep football the main thing. Right
Yeah,
now,
I get it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely got a passion for music, and I appreciate you doing that for me. And I'll start working on that Dial Drunk cover.
I love it, man.
Get it out there.
Nick Samac, it's great to meet you this morning, dude. Congratulations on being a Raven. We can't wait to see you get out there in the coming weeks and prove to everybody what you're capable of doing. Thank you for spending time with us this morning, man. We really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been awesome.
That's Nick Samac, center out of Michigan State. Yeah, he's very talented, by the way. I really did. Just trying to do some background on the draft class. I ended up, finding his TikTok page, and he's got all these country covers. And, it's hit or miss for me with country. Like, I love Noah Kahan. Morgan Wallen does not do a lick for me. There's not even a song that I would tell you that I found myself thinking that I enjoy, really.
Morgan Wallen?
No, not one.
Oh,
Not one.
I
He is
like
as
Morgan
mediocre
Wallen.
to me as it gets. Like, just as forgettable as forgettable is. I was never a Luke Combs, fan, but then when he was on Game Day, when they did Game Day from Appalachian State that one year, that was the first time. I guess I had heard the Beer Never Broke My Heart song before, but, I just didn't know it. Like, it was just that one, yeah. You're going to do you and Nick Samac, you might go on tour together?
Yeah.
That was the first time I'd ever heard that song, and I was like, I could dig this. This is fun. I'm in on this. And then, as I said, it was devastating for me last summer because when I heard that someone was doing a cover of Fast Car, I said, get the entire F out of here. No, country music doofus. You should not be doing a cover of Fast Car. Fast Car is one of the greatest songs ever, and you're not capable of it. And then I remember Rita actually did a segment on the show about it because I was like, Rita, tell me I'm crazy, but I don't think this sucks. And I played it, and she was like, you're right, it doesn't suck. I said, I can't believe it. I can't believe this doesn't suck. So I don't know. I think I might be cool with Luke Combs. I think that, I don't think that I'm going to be a big Luke Combs fan. I don't think I'm going to be going to the concert this summer, but I think I'm cool with it. Noah Kahan I'm really into. I really dig Noah Kahan in the way that I dig Chris Stapleton or, there are, country-ish acts that I really enjoy. I guess Sturgill Simpson is still kind of in that category, and I really like Sturgill Simpson. Ryan Bingham, love Ryan Bingham. Jamestown Revival, maybe that's more folk than country. But yeah, Noah Kahan is high on that list. I dig him, and he's got a Stick Season video, if I remember correctly, and it's one of Noah Kahan's bigger songs. So yeah, go check out Nick Samac. I was really hoping we could get him to drop a couple of bars.
Next time. You said next time.
All right.
So we'll get him next time.
All right. Well, he needs to have a big season then. So we have reason to have him on. Of course, I don't know if I want that because sounds like maybe it would involve something happening to Tyler, and I don't want that either. So.
Or he just wins
correct.
one of the
or
guard
he's
jobs.
so good they got to get him on the field, and he ends up taking a guard job. That's a great point. All right. If you missed Stan, Ross, and Luke earlier in the week, go to facebook.com/PressBoxSports, and you can click on the videos tab and check that out. Also, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline, PressBoxOnline.com/video. All brought to you by Atman's Deli, AJ Michaels. And coming up today, in fact, Stan and Eric Garfield will get together to talk Orioles prospects. And I believe today they're going to focus more on prospects throughout baseball. Some big news in that world that I'm sure we'll get into tomorrow in This Week in the Rest of Baseball. But one of the top top pitching prospect in baseball is headed to the bigs. Paul Skeens has been called up by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So I'm sure they will be discussing Paul Skeens today. Stan and Eric Garfield coming up at 4:15 at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. When we come back in, we'll meet another member of the Ravens draft class, and maybe the one that you'd be most interested in hearing from, the first-round pick.
Does he sing like Nick Samac?
I mean, that's a good point. I don't know if he's got any Luke Combs in him. That one, we're not going to put Nate Wiggins on the spot. We're not going to do that. Yeah, Ravens first-round pick, Nate Wiggins, joins us next here on GCR.
Hey, O's fans. This Mother's Day, take Mom out to the ballpark as the O's take on the Arizona Diamondbacks on Sunday, May 12th at 1:35. The first 15,000 fans 15 and over will receive an Orioles wristlet. Create a memorable Mother's Day and enjoy all the action and excitement of Orioles baseball. Plus, stay after the game for Kids Run the Bases, when all fans 4 to 14 can run the bases like the pros. Presented by Wise Markets. Buy your tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
What company makes your home more energy efficient, purifies your air, kills all viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates? A.J. Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor, dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson profiles Grayson Rodriguez, talking to people who have been part of his path as the Orioles hope he'll become their next homegrown ace. Also inside, we remember legendary Maryland basketball coach Lefty Drizel with stories from legends like Roy Williams and Bobby Cremins about what it was like to go up against the old left-hander. Press Box is available at over 500 locations around Baltimore, including 60 Royal Farm stores. You can also find the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The Ed Block Courage Award Foundation has been working in partnership with the NFL for 46 years to support abused, neglected, and at-risk youth across the country, partnering each team with a children's facility or program that supports the well-being of those in need. Annually, one player from each team is selected by their peers to receive the Courage Award for their inspiration on and off the field. Learn more about how the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation makes a difference, and be sure to check out their latest podcast and web series episodes at edblock.org.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
John says, Glenn, even if you can try to defend Brandon Hyde going to Keegan Aiken in the ninth inning last night, there's just way too many of these, way too many times where the bullpen gets totally torn up during the course of a game that seems unnecessary. John, I don't know. I don't even know how to respond to that. Like, what? And I do see this from people on Twitter from time to time. That, like, he just goes and gets a pitcher too much. Well, like, I really don't know what to make of that. I know I'm stumbling over my words as I say this. Every time I see that, I just – are you suggesting that every reliever should work multiple innings? Because nobody's facing one batter. Because you can't do that.
Sounds
anymore.
like these people want to go back to, the last streak they had of those 2 earned runs. When
I'm
they
in
used 6 pitchers total across 8 games.
It is weird because I talk about this a lot. It does come off to me, again, like it's always easier to blame the coach than it is to blame the player. And I talk about this in football all the time. We have the players' jerseys. We like the players, so it's easier for us to just blame the coach. Now, sometimes I think it's warranted. I've acknowledged I think it's warranted to blame the Ravens coaches for what happened in the AFC Championship game. 1,000%. But sometimes the play that they called worked. They got exactly what they wanted. Guy was open in the end zone. Either he didn't catch the ball or the throw wasn't there, and it's just more fun for us to say, well, you could have done something else. And when something doesn't work, it's easy for us to say, well, you could have done something else. It's easy to say, well, you could have gone to Suarez in the 9th instead of going to Aiken. And, yeah, if you want to play to the small sample size this season that C.J. Abrams has hit lefties more than he's hit righties, you could have done that. That is something you could have done. I don't know if you saw what happened. Albert Suarez ended up getting hit a bit in the 11th inning last night. I don't know. I don't know what would have happened. But you could have done that. The numbers, to me, back up the decision that was made. That for his career, C.J. Abrams is not someone who hits lefties well. This season, in a small sample size, it's been better. But for his career, he does not have good numbers against lefties. And so needing one out, I understood. It didn't work. I just feel like sometimes instead of just saying, hey, tip your cap to the player that did something or that's on the player that failed in that spot, unless it's Ryan McKenna, it's easy for all of us to beat up Ryan McKenna. And you ain't going to see me attempt to defend him. I said before, there is just no world where doing the calculus in my mind, it ever makes sense to put Ryan McKenna in a game in place of Anthony Santander. I can't.
Does Anthony Santander ask to get taken out? I'm just.
Well, last night, remember, he looked like he might have been a little gimpy in a moment. Where he just got hit by the pitch, right?
Right.
So, if that was part of the math that they were doing, okay. But it really just felt like no matter what, if Anthony Santander got on first base, they're going to choose to put McKenna in because McKenna's faster, and they're obsessed with the idea of McKenna being a defensive replacement. And to the point, McKenna obviously had the base stolen. He definitely had it stolen by a mile.
Got there a little too quick.
But then a terrible beat on the line drive to right field. Not that I know that he would have caught it. But he was lost.
And the second time in a week
and
the
the throw on a shallow fly ball was atrocious. I just can't. There's nothing that Ryan McKenna brings that can defend what you lose if he's got to come back up to the plate and you don't have Anthony Santander the next time. And Anthony Santander is not a butcher to me. I just can't defend it. I can't defend Ryan McKenna. And I know that everybody says they're convinced that it's going to be Heston Kjerstad simply because he hasn't played that's going to go for Austin Hayes, but there is no argument with Austin Hayes back for a roster spot for Ryan McKenna. None. Zero. It is indefensible. God bless him for hitting the 2 home runs. God bless. But it is indefensible with Austin Hayes back on the roster to try to argue that there is anything that Ryan McKenna brings to the team. If the answer is I refuse to put Heston Kjerstad in the lineup, then I can understand why, but at least he's still an option off the bench. Although it's going to be hard to get him going. I do understand that. I can't defend Ryan McKenna's roster spot. All right, today's show is also brought to you by Atman's Deli, now open in Harbor Point. It's everything you love about Atman's Deli, but now they also have a bar. The corned beef piled high, all the delicious deli sandwiches, the hot dogs with the bologna, the soups, the desserts, and the best place now to hang out, watch games, make an evening out of it at Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. Go to atmansdeli.com in order to find the daily specials. Had to do this a little bit earlier on today because of his schedule, but an opportunity for the first time to meet Nate Wiggins right here on GCR. Well, it's a pleasure now to be joined here on GCR by the first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens. He is cornerback Nate Wiggins, Nate the Great, and he is with us here on GCR. Nate, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Dude,
yes, sir.
You know, you're there this weekend. You're signing your contract. You got the uniform on. Did you have a moment, were you able to, like, just sit for a second and say, I'm living my dream, and what did that feel like?
Yeah, when I got back to the hotel, I just really just sat down, just took everything in for just my dream coming true. But I still got more goals out there to get, and it's just the beginning of it, so I'm ready to work.
No doubt, man, and I certainly understand that part of it. Nate, if we can go back for a little bit, and then I want to talk to you about now, can you tell me when it was that you realized, like, it struck you in your life, I'm going to be able to do this? Like, this is going to be my path, is playing football. I'm going to be able to make a living doing this.
I could say probably like my sophomore year of college.
Yeah?
It really hit me. It was like going to my junior season. I had my last game, my sophomore season, I had the big game, and it was just like my name was buzzing. It was like, yeah, I really got a chance to do it. That wouldn't really hit me.
And look at where we are now. You know, you mentioned your sophomore year, right? I remember you came out at the beginning of the sophomore year, and you said, look, I think I was immature as a freshman, and I didn't always show up on time for things. Can you walk me through, like, what clicked for you? And was part of it, like, recognizing the opportunity that you had in front of you?
Oh, yeah, it was just a big part, just a learning experience for real. Just come from high school, you know, just come from high school and college, just different things you got to adjust to. So, I mean, my freshman year, it was just adjusting, I feel like. And my sophomore year, it was just so more like the bigger things in front of me, like football, like NFL. So it was just like I got to get more mature quicker because things coming faster.
I feel like for a lot of guys, you know, because I know Dabo called you out on it a little bit. I know for a lot of guys they wouldn't respond well to that, but clearly we see how close you've stayed with Dabo over the years, and we saw that on draft night. Was it important? Did you need to be kind of, you know, kicked in the butt a little bit at that point in your life to get you going?
Yes, sir. I feel like that's been the best out of me for real. Just a coach to just be on me 24/7. So I feel like that bring the best out of me. So that's what I need.
It certainly worked out okay. It certainly worked out all right for you.
Yes, sir.
Nate Wiggins with us here on GCR. All right, Nate, so everybody, you know, I'm sure you've talked about the play against North Carolina ad nauseum. I actually was talking to Mac Brown about it recently. Where does that come from for you? Because it's one thing to be able to physically be capable of making the play, and obviously with your speed, you were physically capable of making the play. But it's so much more than that, right? Like it's the desire, it's the heart to not give up in a spot like that. Where did that come from? And did you know were you confident when you were getting after that you were going to be able to make the play?
Yeah, I was confident. I had another play like that in Miami, so it was just like I knew I was gonna get him. It was just a matter of fact, like, where I gonna get the ball inside the pylon or outside the pylon. So that was all my worries for real. And I mean, the competitiveness come from like just being the youngest kid from a lot of siblings. Just, I mean, you know how that go. Being the youngest kid, you always getting beat up. They toughen you up. So, I mean, that's where they come from.
You were always chasing after somebody growing up, right?
Yeah.
So chasing is probably part of your DNA, really.
Yeah, man, the youngest growing up is crazy.
Man, it's wild to think about that, right? Did you end up like texting some of your siblings afterwards, like, "Hey, thanks, appreciate it."
Yeah, I always tell my oldest brothers, I always tell them, like, I appreciate them for what they did to me when I was a kid, because it made me the man I am now.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really cool. Nate Wiggins with us here on GCR. Nate, why was it cornerback for you, right? We know that you played on both sides of the ball when you were in high school. Why was it such a natural thing for you to stay at corner and make that your focus moving forward?
I really wanted to play receiver, but, I mean, I had a lot of folks just telling me, like, it's a lot of 6'2", 6'1" cornerback. I mean, receivers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot of 6 tall cornerback that can run like me. So, I mean, I just had a better chance at cornerback.
Did you have to like teach yourself to fall in love with it? Was it difficult for you at all? Like, was there part of you that was like, dude, I'd really like to be on the other side. I'd really like to have the ball in my hand.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started training from it, I used to train at both receiver and DB, but I used to try to skip DB training and go to receiver training. It used to be hard, but I got used to it and it paid off.
Did you put in a word yet already? Like, hey man, I wouldn't mind if you guys wanted to run up a play for me at some point. Like, have you had that conversation?
Yeah, I put in the word. I put in the word, man. I just need one. That's it. Just one.
Just want to touch that ball. Just make something happen at some point. Hey, Nate, who were the guys? Who were the guys that you looked up to? Who were, as you made the transition to corner, did you start watching film of anybody or try to model what you were doing after anything that you were seeing in the NFL or guys even in college?
Yeah, I was close to A.J. Terrell and Casey Haywood.
Yeah.
So both of them just like taught me the ways for real, and just taught me great technique for real. So I can't thank them enough.
And you went to AJ's camp, right?
Yeah, and we went to the same high school.
That's right. Yeah. In Georgia, absolutely. So obviously that made a lot of sense for that to be the type of guy that you'd model after.
Yes, sir.
As you made the transition, was there one game, one matchup, something like that made you realize, like, oh no, I'm good. Like this is I can proven to myself that like I can do this and I'll be able to handle this being a cornerback specifically.
Yeah, I'd probably say I'm proud of this year against Keon Coleman and Johnny Trav, and when I was guarding both of them.
Yeah.
That game made me realize, like, I can guard big receivers, little receivers, it don't matter. Like, I can guard whoever put in front of me, so.
What's the competition like with Tez now, right? Because I know you guys were getting after it when you were going up against each other. What was the competition like moving forward?
Yeah, it's gonna be competitive. You know, we want to get each other in college. It was competitive. He's a good player. He's fast, so we both gonna get each other better. And I mean, the sky's the limit.
Does it bother you that you were the third corner in the draft, Nate? Like, does that you know? There's some guys that will like literally keep the names of the guys of their position that went before him, and will use that as like motivation and fuel moving forward. Does it bother you, and do you feel like you might be able to use that as motivation in the NFL?
Yes, sir. I mean, it bothers me that I went number 30. I feel like I was one of the best defensive players, not even cornerback defensive players in the draft. So, I mean, I'm definitely gonna have that chip on my shoulder the rest of the whole year, so, and the rest of my career. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, we like the sounds of that, man. We like the sounds of that a lot. All right, I'm sure you get sick of it, but you know that like the knocks people have are, well, you're not big enough. You don't weigh enough, right?
Yes, sir.
Like,
yes, sir.
What should people know about how you play, whether it matters, what your goals might be for what your weight will be in the NFL? What's your response when people bring that up?
Oh yeah, when people bring my weight, I just feel like I just say like at the film, you don't really see folks pushing me around.
Yeah.
Like I don't get pushed around. I mean, you probably could say I miss tackles, but I mean. That's human. So I mean, I'm only 20 years old. I ain't even like build. I ain't even like got my fully self yet. So I just feel like what I do now, and if I gain when I gain 10, 15 pounds, it's just gonna be scary. So that's all I look at it as.
Is that something that's a priority for you, like in the off season and going into the season?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Gaining 10, 15 pounds, that's like my number one goal. Like, that's my number one goal. Yes, sir.
That makes sense, man. And then what about, like, it's always hilarious to me when somebody says, hey, I don't know about this cornerback as a tackler, because I'll say something like, well, I would prefer they not have to be doing a ton of tackling myself. Like, that's sort of what I look for in a corner. But, that one's the other one that's out there. What do you say to somebody who says, I'm not sure what I think about Nate as a tackler?
Yeah, I mean, I was top 5 tacklers on my team,
There you
so
go.
I don't really, I don't really know. Like, I mean, a lot of folks miss tackles. I mean, we ain't perfect, but I was top 5 tacklers on my team, so I mean, I don't know how folks say I can't tackle.
You're saying, bro, not a problem. Like, you're good. You find something else to worry about, because it ain't that.
It ain't that.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, and just a couple minutes here with Nate Wiggins, Ravens first-round pick, with us on GCR. Nate, Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday, and I've seen a lot of I saw the video of what you did going out and getting some jewelry for your mom before the draft. I've heard you call
Yes,
her
sir.
your hero. With Mother's Day coming up, could you walk me through that relationship between you and your mom, and why she has been so important to you in getting to this point?
Yeah, she's just been like, I mean, just where we come from, for real. I mean, I come from a hard place. I mean, she raised me and my sister by herself, single parent. I mean, she came to all. She had missed one game, so I mean, she my world, man. She been in life. She been there ever since day one. So that's what I do it for.
The way that she speaks about you, right? Like the confidence in her voice when she talks about you. I saw that video of your draft party and her telling you, now go out and be the greatest, right? Like, how much has that done for you, the confidence she has in you and the way she speaks to you about what you're capable of?
Oh yeah, my mama. Me and my mom are the only folks in my family that play sport. So like, she got a competitive drive just like me. Like, she just like me. She has a competitive drive. Like, she ain't going, like, she want me to be the best. She don't want to never see me lose. She want me to go out there and compete. So I feel like she drawn that to me. That just made me a better player. And just hand that from her, just give me more drive to even go do it.
What did she play, Nate?
She played basketball.
Did you see, like, do you notice in yourself, like, some of those traits that she had as an athlete?
Yes, sir. Like, all this, there's like a competitiveness. She don't never want to lose. Like even right now, like, she doing something, she don't want to lose. So that's how I am. I don't never want to lose no reps. I don't never want to get the ball caught on me. So
I think I remember saying, like, you just never really took to basketball. Do you ever, like, still, like, battle against her? Do you ever play, like, one-on-one, or do you just know better? Like, she could still, whoop your butt?
Oh, no, she knows she can't see me on the court.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Nate, just to wrap here, now moving forward, right? What do you want the people of Baltimore to know about you and what this opportunity means to you to be a Baltimore Raven?
It means a lot just to be a part of the legacy of the Ravens, the Ray Lewis, the Ed Reed, just the legacy of the Baltimore Ravens there. I just want to let the fans know, like, they getting a ball player. I'm coming here to work. Like, I mean, I failed at 30, so all the 31 teams, all the 30 other one teams that didn't pick me, they gonna feel it. So
I love it.
We here.
I love it, man. And who buys the first dinner when, I don't know if it's already happened yet for you in Trenton, like, who has to pay for the first dinner?
Oh, Trent Pan.
All right.
Yeah, Trent Pan for the first dinner.
He's been in longer, right? So
yeah, I got it next year.
All right.
I got it next year.
I love that, man. Nate Wiggins, this is so much fun getting to know you and what you're all about, man. And we can't wait to see what this is going to look like in the years to come here in Baltimore. I know it's at @1of1wigs on Instagram, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then I give Nate a follow. Nate, we're going to be in touch, and we can't wait to see you out there more as we get closer to the season. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's great stuff from Nate Wiggins this morning here on GCR. Says it is a priority for him to put on 10, 15 pounds before the season begins. So it's crazy to think he's only 20 years old, right? Like every time I try to do that math, I'm like, how is he only 20 years old in the NFL? Like, how is that? I remember Terrell Suggs being really young. Was he 22 when Terrell Suggs came into the NFL? That might have been the case. And that always kind of obviously Lamar was very young when he came into the NFL, which we always had a good time with it. Like he was still younger than Joe Burrow, despite the fact that he had been in the league for a couple years longer. I know it's been a rough week for T. Sizzle.
He was 20 years old.
Yeah, he was 20 years old when he made his NFL debut. You know, a lot to like in there. I do think the biggest news takeaway is the priority for him putting on weight. I shouldn't even know if it's news. He's said that because I feel like he's done 3 press conferences since he's been drafted. And I have not been able to watch all of them, so perhaps that's something that he's talked about a lot. But appreciated that conversation, and look forward to seeing what Nate Wiggins will bring to the table for the Baltimore Ravens as a rookie. All right, we are into hour number 2 of today's show. Still a lot to do on the program. We'll make our weekly trip to Bowie a little bit later on. I guess we'll do fighting words, and we'll find out if Griffin was right to just bet all the Brazilian fighters on Saturday night.
Almost.
I was trying to say that. I brought that up at Rita hosted a little get-together on Saturday, and there were a few gamblers that were there, and I'm like, I don't know. My guy just says, bet all the Brazilians. Bet every single one of them.
They went 11-3.
Ooh, I hope you pick the right ones. Hope you pick the right Brazilians. We'll do that. We'll get to that later on this hour. We'll get into fighting words. That's still to come. And when we come back in, we're going to catch up with the head coach of the Whipsnake, the Maryland Whipsnake. I don't know how I feel about that. We'll catch up with the head coach of the Maryland Whipsnakes, Jim Stagnitta, talk about their haul in the PLL Draft. So that's all on the way here in hour number 2 of GCR. Hartford Community College will host the National Junior College Athletic Association's 2024 Men's Lacrosse National Championship and Women's Lacrosse Invitational on May 11th and 12th at Hartford Sports Complex, 401 Thomas Run Road in Bel Air, Maryland. The semifinals on May 11th include the Women's Invitational, with the Women's North A representative playing the Mid-Atlantic B representative at 10 a.m., and the Women's North B representative facing off against the Mid-Atlantic A representative at 12:30 p.m. For the men's championship, the number 1 seed will play the lowest remaining seed in the quarterfinal round at 3:30 p.m. The men's number 2 seed will face off against the highest remaining seed at 6 p.m. May 12th is reserved for the national championship games at noon for the women and 4 p.m. for the men. Tickets are $20 each day at hartfordevents.com or at the gate if available.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meritus Park in Hagerstown, Maryland, home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland. Visit Hagerstown.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flight's Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
Oh, honey. Honey, we better stop for gas soon. Let's pull into that Royal Farms.
Ugh, gas is so expensive.
Nope, it'll be cheaper than you think.
Why's that?
I signed up for Rofo Pay on the Royal Farms app. Now we save 15 cents per gallon at all Royal Farms.
Wow, that'll save us a ton of money. I love you more every day.
Well then, don't get a speeding ticket this trip, okay?
Sign up for Rofo Rewards and upgrade to Rofo Pay and save 15 cents a gallon on gas for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. AJMichaels.com.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. The best place for all of the big events is Sports and Social inside Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. It's the fight nights. It's just every game night, right? Right now in the postseason. I don't know if there were specifically Knicks or Pacers fans there last night, but that being a heck of a battle and everybody having bets on the games, the atmosphere is unlike anywhere else that you can go to watch big games. Reserve your table right now by going to their website. Reserve your blue reclining chairs in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Sports and Social, giant media wall, great food specials. The best place to watch all of the games. Yeah, I didn't get to watch much, obviously, of the game last night because I was watching the baseball game that refused to end. So by the time I flipped over afterwards, the basketball game was basically over.
It was still like a game, I think, right when.
Not really.
I mean, the
it
Knicks
was like
were up, and
they were like up 8 with like 2 minutes
gonna,
left.
I thought it was like
yeah.
a 5-point game when I thought there was like 4 minutes left when
was like
the Oriole game ended.
When the Orioles game ended, I don't know. Maybe I took an extra
Slow.
second. No, I certainly didn't watch any of the post game. I know that much. I know.
I watched Jorge Mateo's interview, and
I didn't even watch that. So I feel like I would have gotten there quicker than you did.
And I just feel like not paying attention.
Over. There was the humorous moment with Josh Hart there at the end, going over to Reggie Miller. Like, that was funny. I don't know, man. This series just does nothing for me because I just don't believe that either team was capable of beating the real teams, like the teams
Buying
that have
the
a
Knicks
chance.
now?
I don't buy in the Knicks. I think the Knicks
Might be able
are
to beat the Celtics.
but like that's because I don't really buy into the Celtics, right? Like I think this is the goofy part about all of it. I should know better than to be this dismissive of anybody. Like once you get to this point, you're there, you've done the work, that's the whole thing. But I just don't see it. I don't. I guess Jalen Brunson got hurt at one point last night and then had a dramatic scene where he returned. And if just the Madison Square Garden thing does it for you in New York, then you're probably feeling it. I just got to be honest with you, none of that has ever done anything for me. Personally. I mean, I've never cared. Hey, Kobe in Madison Square Garden, MJ, and it just doesn't. But they certainly still have opportunities to prove me wrong. I know there was some controversy late because there was this phantom double dribble call that was clearly incorrect, but you're not supposed to be able to like review it without actually. Well, you're actually just not even supposed to be able to review it, and yet they got together and said, no, it was an inadvertent whistle. But they got it right, so ultimately it's hard to be angry about that. Like, get the call right. That part matters the most, so I got no beef there. Knicks go up 2-0 in that series as it'll shift back to Indianapolis. Great opportunity for us to catch up with one of our newer friends here on GCR as he's now the head coach of the Maryland Whipsnakes moving forward. And they just came away with Ajax Zapatello in the first round of the PLL College Draft this week, as well as a couple other players that are very interesting, including, for me, my guy Adam Patra. Joining us now here on GCR, he is Coach Jim Stagnitta, and he's with us on the program. Coach, it's Glenn. It's great to catch up, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Hey, Glenn, it's my pleasure. I knew you'd like the Adam pick.
Yeah, I was really happy about that one. And look, actually, I was happy. All right, so I'll be honest with you, though, Coach. Like, so Griffin, my sidekick, he's a huge Whipsnakes fan. Dyed in the wool. He's going to be in there, like, leading the charge at Homewood Field this summer for you guys. And he absolutely was feeling the, how are you not taking Pat Cavanaugh when he's on the board? How are you not doing that? So walk me through why it was Ajax Zapatello and why defense was maybe the priority in round one.
Well, for the last month, my wife and my son, who played at Hopkins, were in Griffin's corner. So it wasn't. It was. Look, it was not an easy decision. It really wasn't. But we are so fortunate, we got the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year and the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year in the draft. So, the fact that we were able to grab Malone at 17 really kind of, balanced out the Zapatello pick. But, here was my thought process. When you look at the draft, there were 3 defenders who we felt had the ability to come in and be immediate impact players, and we needed that. Mm-hmm. We're also looking for guys that can go out there and match up with someone like Michael Sowers. And to be perfectly candid, at the end of the day, we felt like there was one guy who could do that. And we felt like there were 6 or 7 attackmen if we were fortunate. I'm not going to say they were Kavanaugh caliber, but they were guys who would certainly fulfill the need for us. And I think we got, for us, I think we did really well in filling both of those voids. And Glenn, when we've competed at the top, we committed to defense during that during the expansion draft. We had to let guys go, and we kept our defense, and we had two more great years, and we fell off there last year.
Yep.
And we felt like that's our foundation, that's our identity, that's kind of who we are. And that was in our evaluation, that was our most important need. And by the way, Ajax Zapatello is a hell of a player,
that's right.
Hell of a kid.
Right.
He's going to be able to go out there and cover all those guys that people thought we should have picked up.
It's such an important part about this, right? It's like, let's not be dismissive of this. Like, Ajax Zapatello is a difference maker. Like, he's a game dude. He's wearing the number 1 at the University of Maryland as a defensive player. He's a game changer.
Absolutely.
And that, I understand why the thought process goes that way, Coach. I don't know, Coach, you and I haven't talked about this. When the league started, I remember there was a somewhat priority of, we want to try to get guys from Maryland all on one team. We want to play into that rooting interest when we go somewhere. As teams have now been split up and are now going to be geographical moving forward, is that utterly out the window? And I want to make it sure, I'm not asking if that's the reason why you picked Ajax, but like, is that utterly out of the window, or is there still somewhat of a priority? Hey, we'd like to try to get guys that played here to stay here. Is that even a factor in the equation at this point?
Not. I don't sense that that's a factor. We have heard, it's actually over the last couple of years. Once we were able to start making trades and creating our own rosters after we were handed the initial ones, I think that I feel like. That the focus on that had changed, but I felt like in year one, it was it made some sense from, drawing fan interest and fan support. I think initially, they were looking at it like maybe like you look at wrestling and NASCAR, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to, maybe you're not going to have a team that you follow, but you're going to follow a player. And then I think eventually now with the model and having cities, now they're building a local support for their team. But my sense is, look, Ajax, again, I know that that's not the reason you asked the question, but he was, in my mind, he's been covering the best players in the country for the last 3 years. I mean, he is as you said, he's a game changer. He, in our opinion, was the best at that position, and that's what we needed. And at the end of the day, he just happened to be from Maryland. But I'll tell you, if he was wearing a Hopkins jersey or a Notre Dame jersey, we would have taken him.
He is Coach Jim Stagnitta, the Maryland Whipsnakes. He is with us here on GCR. Coach, let's talk about the other two guys. How much does it say? I guess let's go one way. Is it the depth of the draft that allows T.J. Malone to fall to you in the third round, or were you kind of looking around like, dude, what the hell are these other teams doing? How did they let this guy fall to us here?
I hate to, and I'm not disparaging anyone because each has their own needs, and that's what happens in these drafts. You know what it was like? It was as I watched what other people's choices, I texted my staff, when we were at 15, I said, holy shit, I think we're going to get Malone. And, when Chris Bates, which I understand his pick, took Dyson Williams, the draft, and at that point, the draft couldn't have laid out better for us as far as what we need. And as I evaluate, Malone was right up there as the next guy that we would have wanted for what we need. Next to Cav.
That's crazy, man. What is it that makes him so special, Coach? Like, what is it that you see? He's big, but he's not. He's not Brennan O'Neill big, right? Like nope. How is it that he is so effective as a scorer and distributor too? I guess I should be fair about that, and a distributor too. Like, he really does it everything.
He does. So John Hawes, there you go, another Terp.
Yeah.
Played for me for a long time, and I have the utmost respect. He's one of my favorite players of all time and people. And, he has been just talking about his overall skill set and his ability to, because it doesn't always transfer to the next level. But he has so many, like Zappatello, he has such a diverse skill set and just brings so many of the intangibles to the table. I mean, he was a midi and was a really good one early in his career. And then he played kind of third fiddle to Ament and that crew. So he's, number one, he can do everything. He's left-handed, but he can play X, which is something we were interested in, can go right and left-handed. He can have 7 assists one day and 5 goals the next day. He's played against high-level competition and the number one defender on the other team every single week. He's a really tough kid, and he's a great locker room guy. They rave about him. He has, like him and Ajax, all 4 of the guys that we drafted, just have this humility and appreciation for the opportunity. And that's something we talk about all the time. Like, this is an honor. You're professional athletes, and these guys are so excited to be able to be a part of this. And I think what we've done with each and every one of the draft picks this year, and Adam, you see him every week, like the diversity in their skill set and what they can do is so important in our league when you can only dress 19 guys. If Malone had to play midfield one day, he could play midfield. If he has to play with the ball, he can play with the ball. If he has to play without the ball, he can play without the ball. Got to be a feeder, he's a feeder. If you need him to be a scorer, he's a scorer. And, that's, to us, that's someone who can do all of those things. It's really special.
Coach, you bring up Adam, and obviously love that guy and what a player he is. But what is unique there is, like, in looking at your roster, I did notice, hey, you didn't have a Canadian, and I know that seems sort of somebody that doesn't understand, like, the ability to create in certain circumstances that just seems to exist with Canadian players and guys that played box lacrosse. Was that something that in looking at your roster, not saying that's uniquely the reason you took him, but in looking at your roster, did you say, hey, really, we could use that guy that can create in those circumstances?
Well, the Canadians have continued to evolve, right? And he is one of the ones that, that you look at that is, probably one of the most evolved. And one of the reasons we looked at him so closely, and Mark Van Arsdale's been a friend and a peer for, again, another one who I really respect his opinion, and he just raves about him. He can play midfield. He can play attack. We need off-ball guys who are slashers, cutters, finishers, and he can do all of that. He plays wings on face-offs. He's Zach Currier-ish, but he can beat it if he plays attack in his off-ball game. He can still carry against a long pole, and if you choose to put a shorty on him, he's going to beat the shorty. He's got great speed. He led the team in ground balls. I mean, if you look at his whole body of work, I just don't think people realized just how talented he is and how, again, diverse he is. But for a Canadian to be able to play midfield, play attack, pick up ground balls on wings, that's a skill set that is just starting to come around in their game.
And how much of, when you look at this draft class, do you have to remind everybody, like, hey, by the way, we kind of count Jackson Morrill as being part of this draft class too a little bit?
Great point, because that was a part of the decision with Ajax, right? Someone that I respect asked me the question: Do you value your second best defenseman right now more than you value your second, attackman? And we made an investment in Jackson last year, and that was late in the year, and I don't think it was necessarily fair to him. We threw him in a tough situation, but as we watch him, he just does all these little things so well, and it makes guys around him better, and just executes all the high level fundamentals. So I looked at this. I said, we did. You're right. We invested into Jackson Morrill. We gave up a second pick last year.
Yep.
So our greatest need is someone who can come in and step right in and make us better defensively. And honestly, that was a big part in the Ajax pick, is someone who can make us better defensively, and someone who's going to, he just brings that toughness and competitiveness. And, so Jackson definitely played a part in that decision.
I'm not completely unbiased, obviously, but I'm very happy with the class on the whole, Coach. Just so you know, I'm not utterly unbiased there, but I am happy with it. Coach, while I have you, and I saw the picture that you shared of him with your son, that one of my other roles is at Stevenson, and I was so appreciative of what Paul said before the draft began, and we had a really emotional last week, but what do you want people to know? I keep saying this. I understand why there's been so much interest in how Cal died, but I so prefer talking about how Cal lived, because my God, was he special. Like, there are people that you just come across and they are different than other humans. Like, they just don't make humans like them. What would you want people to know about Callum Robinson, Coach?
Well, it was my son was out in California working for the last couple of years, and just came back east. And during his time out there, I knew Callum from the certainly from college and in the pro league, and it was just always what everyone says, right? Always had a smile, always lit up a room. But he really, when you really get to know him, him and my son spent so much time together, and I guess what makes it tough is they're both very similar. They love life. They smile. They'll talk to people. They make people feel good. My son was showing me texts, that Callum would send him just about kind of positivity and enjoying every day. I've never, again, I feel very fortunate because of the relationship that he had with my son, and he made my son feel out in California the way he makes everyone else feel. And he just made you feel good. He was always happy. He always smiled. He always had a good word. He always, he's one of those guys that you look at him and you go, has he ever had a bad day? And, to be around him, he lit up every room. It's just, I think that he left such an impact on so many people, which is, what you hope, right? That's your legacy. Unfortunately, it just ended too soon.
Entirely too soon, and everything you said, Coach, I couldn't echo those sentiments enough. And the way that he made you feel, like, and talking to so many of the guys that know him, that just said, like, what he did for me, for my confidence, for my belief, he would make you feel like you were his best friend, and he would make you feel like you mattered and you were important. And on top of that, he was devastatingly funny, like really, really funny. And oh God, just a special.
Well, my last vision of him, we were in California, out at Sandstorm, which is where they have Stagecoach and Coachella. And the house we stay in, I was consulting out there, and the house we're in is right on the corner of where all the traffic is. And he's standing out there early in the morning with a cup of coffee and basically his tighty-whities and no shirt on and his hair flown, and people are driving by. And he's smiling and waving, and, that was him, like not a care in the world, but, a smile and a wave to everyone. And, again, it was a tough one because I feel like he had such a great impact and relationship personally with my family. And I know that was the case, not just with, my son, Matt, but really a lot of people.
No question about it. And Coach, I'm so sorry for you and your son and everybody in the lacrosse community, because we are all feeling it.
Absolutely.
A powerful impact that Callum Robinson had. Make sure you guys are making your plans now. August 3rd and 4th at Homewood Field to be there for the first ever home games for the Maryland Whipsnakes this summer. Griffin will be there leading the charge, getting everybody to make the hiss. I promise you, he's so in on it, Coach. Coach, every time we talk about it.
Make sure he comes and says hello.
I promise you that'll happen. You
don't spend some time with Griffin.
You don't understand. He really is a number one fan. Like he went out like somebody in the league suggested they were going to send some gear. He didn't want to wait. He wanted to go out and buy his own hat, like the moment that he had the opportunity to. Coach, looking forward to it. Can't wait to see you this summer. Always and we'll be talking, obviously. Always appreciate you taking the time for us. Thanks for doing this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
It's Coach Jim Stagnitta, the Maryland Whipsnakes. Appreciate him taking the time for us. As again, they came away with Ajax Zapatello, TJ Malone, and Adam Patra in the PLL College Draft. All right, when we come back in, we're going to make our weekly trip to Bowie to chat with a member of the Bay Sox, Cameron Weston. Pitcher, just got the call not that long ago to get bumped up a level. He'll check in with us next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Oh, honey, we better stop for gas soon. Let's pull into that Royal Farms.
Ugh, gas is so expensive.
Nope, it'll be cheaper than you think.
Why's that?
I signed up for Rofo Pay on the Royal Farms app. Now we save 15 cents per gallon at all Royal Farms.
Wow, that'll save us a ton of money. I love you more every day.
Well, then don't get a speeding ticket this trip, okay?
Sign up for Rofo Rewards and upgrade to Rofo Pay and save 15 cents a gallon on gas for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. AJMichaels.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flights Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. If you have not picked up the print issue of Press Box yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. A Jim Palmer-approved cover story from Luke Jackson, all about Grayson Rodriguez. A lot of great Lefty Drizel content in this print issue of Press Box. Go get it for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. You don't think they're gonna let you lead like a hiss section, do you? You don't think that might not be coming? We'll keep pushing.
The Snake
for
Pit?
It. The Snake Pit, yeah.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah. That's gonna.
I don't think they're gonna have a choice.
That's gonna be the. Yeah, you're saying you're gonna do it no matter what, even if it's not formal. You're gonna
lead the Snake Pit. Yes.
I love it. I've actually.
Oh man.
I've changed my mind.
Michael Sowers wants nothing to do with the Snake Pit.
I'm in. All right, it's time for us to make our weekly trip to Bowie to chat with a member of the Bay Sox. Our next guest just got the bump up to Bowie about a week ago, and so far so good. 7 1/3 innings, and he's allowed just 1 run on 4 hits and 1 walk in his first couple of Double-A appearances. He is Cameron Weston, and he's with us this morning here on GCR. Cam, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
No, yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Cameron, we got to get out of the way right at the start, though. I understand it's going to set the tone for everything because I know you're originally from Pittsburgh, but you're in the Baltimore Orioles organization these days. Who are you rooting for this fall when the Ravens play the Steelers?
You gotta be the Steelers.
Oh no!
I have to stick with it.
All right, okay. If you get here to Baltimore in the next, would you at least be willing to maybe be neutral for the day? Maybe just not wear a jersey for the day? Could we at least maybe coax that out of you, perhaps?
Possibly,
All right.
but might have to be wearing a Lurs jersey out there.
Oh man.
I might have to be.
Everything was. I was so looking forward to this. I was hoping it was going to go so well. Now, all right. Well, Cameron, thank you for taking the. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course. Hey, man. I know that it's not the call obviously to the big leagues, but so much is made about Double-A as far as the place where it starts to get real. How important was it to you, particularly as someone who pitched in college that comes, at a little bit of an older age than some of the guys, how important was it for you to get that call, to get the Double-A, and to continue showing yourself I'm on the right track, I'm going to be able to do this?
No, yeah, you always hear that it's the big step. So it's nice when you get there, and it's a good confidence boost whenever you're able to perform. But, yeah, it's just, cleaner baseball all around. I'd say just, everybody's a little bit more dialed in, a little bit, a lot more experience. So just all comes a little bit cleaner all around.
You started the season as a starter, and it's only 2 appearances in Bowie, but you've come out of the bullpen, and I know you did a lot of that a year ago. Have you gotten a sense for, what the thought process is, what the plan is for you as far as, are you going to be a starter moving forward? Do they want you to get comfortable with someone that might be able to help out of the bullpen?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like both. I think with like the guys on the team, there's a lot of us that are like starters and in that role, like as in like the tandem role.
Yeah.
Like you come in, you're kind of just getting the innings. It's more about I'd say the innings more so than really like throwing like starting it. Like just as long as you're getting those like starting innings, it's it's pretty much the same. You're getting like the same workload, getting the same feel. Like before the game starts, you're starting like you're doing your routine about like 10, 15 minutes behind the starter. So you're still getting like that kind of starter feel for that day, but it also works like to also prove that you can be good in long relief as well. So it kind of plays both sides.
So that's interesting because it's like the piggyback concept, right? That people have talked about. You still, on the day that you know you're going to pitch, you still go through all the exact same preparation that you would when you were starting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you just you're like about 15 minutes behind whenever the starter gets out there, play a little catch after he does, and then kind of just wait till after they also trying to give you like a clean inning as well. So it usually all works out for like the starter feel, I'd say.
So you say that. The one thing that I know about relievers is that like they have to become psychopaths. Like they have no choice. Like they almost have to like do a professional wrestling routine before they come into a game. And it's funny because I'll talk to starting pitchers and everybody's different. Like some guys will say, yeah, I do the same thing. Like I'm the exact same way on a day where I know I'm going to pitch. Where are you with that aspect of it? Like, do you have to psych yourself up, like punch yourself in the head or something like that when you're coming out to the mound? Is it different whether you're pitching in the first inning or the fourth inning? What's the whole routine like?
I'd say it's about the same. I'd say for me, I like to be a little bit more like calm and like kind of like baseline. I'd say not to try not to get too high, try not to get too low. Like just try to feel the exact same through like every single time I'm out there. So I like to keep it like pretty level, I'd say. Like kind of just like baseline, I'd say, out there.
So
try to stay calm.
So while other relievers are again like getting Ric Flair chopped in the bullpen to get ready, you're the guy like maybe doing yoga or something in order to try to
just usually just chilling out there, like talking, having some good convos before I'm out there, trying to get relaxed. But I mean, it's pretty hard to. I mean, if you're closing though, I mean, you're gonna have that adrenaline. I used to in college. I had a little experience with that, so I mean, that's a lot of fun as well. So it's pretty hard not to get amped up.
Okay, I was gonna say, were you
coming
different
in the later innings?
Were you different in that way? Like, were you doing more of the like crazy routine when you were closing in college?
I'd say the routine might have been around the same. I'd say now it's more like fine-tuned, but I'd say like whenever you're closing, is you just you have that one inning just to like empty the tank out there, so you can go out there and just let it eat pretty much.
Let it fly, no doubt about it. Cameron Weston with us here on GCR. Cameron, I mentioned obviously you pitched in college, so it's a little bit different than everybody else. Have you felt like almost an internal clock like speeding up a little bit? Like I gotta fly through all of these other things that maybe some guys are taking more years. Have you felt a little bit of that in how you've gone through as a pro?
Yeah, I feel like just trust the process. Just focusing on like the plan each day. I mean, not worrying too much about anything else other than just developing my stuff. I'd say that's just trying to stay focused on improving like the arsenal and whatnot, and just keeping my focus there really.
Where are you at with your pitches at this point? Like, how many are you throwing this season, and how confident are you? Is there anything that you introduced that was new this year?
I'd say I'm still throwing 5 pitches. That's what I was throwing the same arsenal as last year.
Okay.
So it's sinker, cutter, like a sweeper, and then circle change and split.
Okay.
But I'd say more so this year I've just like mixed more equally. I'd say like more confident in throwing like all of them. So it's kind of just like a bigger split, like throwing them at a higher clip.
Was that your priority? Because everybody always talks about like, hey, results matter in the minor leagues, but oftentimes it matters as much as you getting work in or doing something that you're working on. Was that one of your priorities for this year to say, hey, I want to mix the pitches up more, and have you been happy with that?
Yeah, I've been. That's what I was like striving for, is to like I want to be able to throw like all of them at any time, like whenever I can. So that was like the big focus, is really gaining confidence and being able to throw those in like behind counts and stuff like that, just so you're not giving any free heaters away or anything like that. But yeah, it's been good this year. Everything's been working well so far.
I saw that you came from a family of volleyball players.
Yeah.
Was that ever on the table for you whatsoever? Like, I know it's the females in your family that are volleyball players, and like, how intense was like when you got? I don't know if you guys went to the beach much, because you're not from an area with a ton of beach, but like, how intense was it when like there was a backyard family volleyball game growing up?
Oh yeah, I mean they're winning. So I mean if you were going up against them, they were winning the match for sure. You can't get nothing past either of them. They were perfect too. The younger sister was libero, so she's passing it, and then older sister was the setter. So you're not getting anything past them, and they're gonna serve it right back up to you. So it was a win for them.
Man, did you ever play volleyball at all, or was it always baseball for you?
No, yeah, never gave it a shot. Never gave it a shot.
What drew you to baseball?
I would say more so, I don't know, all my buddies when I was younger were always playing it, and just always played it through that, and stuck with it through high school, and then just carried it on.
Was there a point where you like recognized that you could pitch? Was there like a moment where I'm dealing with this with my 9-year-old right now, Cameron, where like he badly wants to be a pitcher, and like his team keeps letting him try, but like I'm just not sure. I took him to see my friend Steve Johnson, the former Oriole, and like tried to have him work on his leg kick, the whole thing. Was there a moment where you were like, I actually think I can do this? Like, I don't think this is just a fun thing. I think I might be capable of it.
Yeah, I always threw hard, so it was always fun just getting up there and letting it eat and just having fun with it. But I mean, when you're that age, I mean, hitting's definitely usually hitting homers is usually like the big thing, because like you're pitching up there when you're that young, you're really just letting it fly, you're really not thinking about much.
Sure,
but,
I get that.
Yeah.
What is the highest that you've ever hit on a gun? At what point? I guess like what are you sitting at? What's the fastball sitting at right now? And like if you really just said, if you were closing, for example, and you could just let it rip, what's the fastest that you've ever thrown a ball?
Well, I'd say right now I'm like anywhere from just 90 to 93. Like maybe this season touched a 4. Like
okay,
only once or twice really this year. I'd say in college when I closed, I got up to 6, but still trying to get back there right now. But the average velo's gone up, so that's been good. So I've been sitting a little bit higher, but I just need to get that the max up as of right now.
I was gonna say, is it like where is there a place where you would say, I'm guessing you're recognizing I'm probably never going to be like a flamethrower. It's probably never going to be like 101. But is there a point that as you go through this process, you say, if that's where the fastball is, I'm going to be confident in my ability at the big leagues?
Yeah, I mean, confident in it right now. It still works. It's still like, but I mean, always trying to gain velo, hoping one day just wake up and start throwing upper 9s would be nice. But we'll keep praying for that. But we'll see. As of right now, it's good where it's at right now, but always trying to incline that.
I love that. Hey, the Bay Sox are home this week, and tomorrow night, fireworks, as well as it's sitcom night. They're going to be celebrating an awful lot of the sitcoms. Cameron Weston, what's your all-time favorite sitcom?
I'm honestly not sure.
No?
Honestly, not sure.
Like, you don't have like The Office or something like that? The
Office is always good. You can't go wrong with that.
Right.
But not huge on any of them, I would say.
Fair enough. It's also, this is a fascinating promo tomorrow night. It's called Gotta Have Faith Friday. If the Bay Sox win, all fans in attendance will receive a voucher for a half-price day-of-game box seat for any remaining game. So you're buying a ticket, sort of betting on the possibility that you might be buying 2 tickets, more or less, instead. So that's a cool opportunity. More fireworks on Saturday, and on Sunday, great Mother's Day celebration with the Bay Sox. It's a great day to take Mom, a brunch buffet before the game. You can call 301-464-4890 to find out more about that. Cameron Weston, where can we be following you on social media, man? On Twitter, Instagram, anywhere like that?
No, I haven't really been on Twitter that much, I'd say, since college. But Instagram's usually the Instagram, I'd say. But really not on social media a ton. Not a poster, I wouldn't say. Not really posting much.
Bro,
just kind of scrolling through.
Good for you, man. Like, it is a cesspool. It is the ability to stay away. I am jealous of it. So then tell me one thing that we should know about you away from baseball. Like, when you're not playing baseball on a Monday or outside of the season, what are you getting into?
I'll tell you, on that Monday, I'm trying to find a golf course to go out to and play. But besides that, I mean, coming back from the games, I'll be on the video games, playing with my buddies back from home.
What are you playing?
Really anything, honestly, from COD, Fortnite, anything. I'll play just about anything.
What's the longest that you think in your life you've ever played? Like, that you've looked up and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's been X hours and I'm still playing Call of Duty." Like, what's?
It's up there. It's too high for sure. The number's too high, and it's too high.
Hey man, it happens to all of us, bro. It happens to every single one of us. Cameron Weston, so great to meet you, man. Happy for the success that you're having so far. Can't wait to see what's next for you. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you.
Cameron Weston with us here on GCR from the Bowie Bay Sox. Appreciate him taking the time for us. All right. It is a Thursday, and every Thursday here on GCR, I give Griffin the opportunity to let us know what's going on in the world of combat sports.
It's Fighting Words with Griffin Bass.
Fighting Words brought to you this week by Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. Everything you love about the original Atman's Deli, a Baltimore institution. Every time I start telling you what they have at Atman's Deli, I'm like you don't know. Imagine being someone in this town and not being familiar with what you love about Atman's Deli. I feel very silly. I'm like, why am I telling people that they have corned beef at Atman's Deli? You know that. So take everything you love from the original Atman's, add to it a full sports bar, Atman's Deli in Harbor Point. AtmansDeli.com is the website to find the daily specials. All right, there was a pay-per-view this weekend.
There was, in fact, a pay-per-view this weekend. Alexander Pantoja did defeat Steve Erceg. It was... it was a relatively quiet card. Not a ton of huge takeaways. Jose Aldo did come in and upset Jonathan Martinez, so that was big. He probably stole the show. Lifted on top of all his training partners' shoulders and was carried out of the octagon, and he was once again the king of Rio. So big win for Jose Aldo. Anthony Smith got a big upset win over Vitor Petrino, handing the Brazilians one of their 3 losses on the night. And but otherwise, I mean, it was an entertaining card. There was no star on the card outside of Aldo, but he's 37, gonna be 38 soon. So it was just kind of an under the radar, very very solid card. Nothing to really complain about. There was as far as, gruesome injuries go, this might be, in recent memory, one of the worst that I saw, just because...
I didn't notice.
So, there was a guy kept getting kicked in the shin. And he got kicked in the shin over and over. It was Jack Shore lost to Joe Anderson Brito by TKO, doctor stoppage, because the guy's shin, started bleeding. And it was bleeding so bad. I don't usually get too squirmy, but this I couldn't even look. They called a doctor in, and so there was a little hole where all the blood was coming out of, essentially, right on the shin bone. And the doctor, I don't know why he did this, but he started sticking his finger in it, and it was one of the grosser things that I've ever seen in the UFC. So that was really, you looked it up. It was.
He's put his finger in the.
Oh, stop! I don't even just watching you watch it makes me. It was terrible. It was terrible. So nice win for Joe Anderson Brito. Got a big win, and that was the featured prelim, so that was leading right into the main card, which was wonderful. Yeah, it was nasty. It was.
That's insane.
It was gnarly. It was so like they were saying like maybe the doctor like could see or feel the bone or something. That was why they had to stop it and why he had to do that. But it was.
No, thank you.
It was gross. That was.
No, thank you. My life would have been so much better without ever knowing that was the thing.
So that happened Saturday night.
Oh my God. I just hope you know that you've affected my life now. Like,
all right, I'm sorry.
I could have gone the rest of my life without ever knowing that or without ever having that image. And now I'm never going to be able to. You know what's funny, too, is that, like, I don't feel like I was all that squeamish when I was younger. Like, whenever people would, like, turn away from an injury, I was always just like, it's an injury, right?
Well,
like, I don't know when that started for me. And not squeamish to the point where, like, I was going to look up to see what you were talking about because I wanted to know. But
it like makes your skin crawl, like the way this looked.
I regret it. I regret it wholeheartedly.
Are you able to like watch like arm bars and stuff? Does that like bother you?
I'm able to watch them.
Like leg locks?
Yeah, like I mean, in that moment, like it ain't supposed to go that way.
Like you watch like the Frank Mir ones where like he actually broke.
Yeah.
What was it? No Guerrero.
I feel like it's when you can see. I think this impacts me more than just seeing a bone go away that's not supposed to go because like it's still inside the body, like in a weird way. Whatever's happening inside the body, like not when it comes outside. Dude, who was the Louisville? Was it Louisville player?
Kevin Ware.
Kevin Ware.
That was
nothing.
Oh my God.
Nothing that I have ever seen injury-wise.
Yeah.
Like I've watched the Joe Theismann thing probably about 1 million times. I don't know why.
But it's
because
like
the blind side, like they showed it in that and everything. Like I've probably seen the Joe Theismann thing 1 million times. The Kevin Ware thing will forever be the one. That might be the line of demarcation in like moments that I became squeamish. Like seeing his bone just I
mean it's like it's almost like a horror because he's just sitting there holding his leg.
Yep.
And it's my God. It was.
You're right. That is gruesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean Jack Shore, tough guy. He looked like he wanted to keep fighting. He was going to if they didn't stop it. And probably just, which, might have snapped his shin in half, so maybe it is good that they stopped it. But yeah, so that was it was really cool to see Anthony Smith get a win because he was like a plus 600 underdog, and this guy Vitor Petrino just kind of clinched him and got guillotined. He had never really faced any adversity, so big win for Anthony Smith. Hopefully, it might just mean that he's gonna, have a step up, and we might get lamped in his next fight. But yeah, good win for Anthony Smith. Pantoja won again. So I'm not sure what's gonna. I'm not sure what they'll do next at flyweight. They'll have to figure it out.
You're talking, and I'm still not. Like I'm just.
Canelo did beat Jaime Munguia.
Yeah, I didn't bother.
That was a unanimous decision. It was, everyone saw it coming. It was a good fight. I think Munguia put up a good fight. But yeah, it was Canelo clearly won. On Monday morning, Naoya Inoue knocked out Luis Neri. In Japan.
Okay.
Yes, he's are they 125 or no? I think he's very very light. It might have been 135. I can't remember.
Right.
But a lot of people are looking at him as maybe some have him as the new number 1 pound for pound world pound for pound over Terrence Crawford.
Okay.
But yeah, he's very legit. He's a star. He will get you some knockouts. Naoya and No Way.
Okay.
So that was Monday morning in Japan.
So I know this week is the Lomachenko fight, right? That's on ESPN too, right?
So it'll be a great night because the prelims, I think everything's on ESPN.
For
UFC.
the fight night?
Yeah, so it's like 4 o'clock the prelims start, 7 p.m. the main card for UFC,
Okay.
10 p.m. is the boxing.
So just fighting all night on ESPN.
That is correct. That is correct. This one's it similar, like odds-wise, it's pretty much identical to the Canelo fight where, no one's really giving Kambosos. I think it'll go similar as well. Like I imagine Kambosos can put up a good fight, but Lomachenko is like a minus 600, minus 700 favorite. I don't really think there's any way.
And
might be able to get
Fury,
him by points.
Is Fury next Saturday?
Usyk Fury is next Saturday, May 18th.
Okay.
But yeah, Lomachenko and Kambosos is in Australia this weekend. Oh, minus 750. Shoo. I feel like it went up. I'm trying to figure out what he is by decision. If you were to bet that, are they not even making it an option? Hold on, I have it. Loma by points, -162. So,
Okay.
a little bit,
Okay.
maybe.
And is there any point to the UFC card other than
Derek Lewis?
Yeah, that people like Derek Lewis. So
yes, so you have to watch Derek Lewis. They're fighting in St. Louis, so it's not an Apex card. Like, this is a legit fight card. Finally, I think it should be. It'll be fun. There's not a ton of like superstar power outside of Derek Lewis. Joaquin Buckley, he's from St. Louis. He's in the co-main event. He's the guy who had that fight like over COVID, like back in 2020, where the guy grabbed his leg and then he like spun around and knocked him out.
Oh, I do remember that.
Joaquin Buckley. So
Okay.
he is fighting in the co-main event. He's from St. Louis. That should be that'll get the crowd going for sure. Carlos Alberg trains with Israel Adesanya at 205. That is the third from the top. He's fighting Alonzo Menefield. That should be a really good fight at 205. And I think Alberg wins, but both of these fights, like Buckley is fighting Ruzaboyev, a guy from, I forget where he's from. I can't pronounce the name of the country. Alonzo Menefield is fighting Carlos Alberg. So these are both two fights where, like, the winner of this fight, I think, like, this is the next guy it could be the next guy at each division. So Alberg also is a little bit appealing maybe to Alex Pereira, just because, if he wants to fight him at 205, he'd be like, oh, this guy, this is one of Izzy's friends.
Okay.
Maybe I'd knock him out too. And
fair enough.
Just to piss off Izzy. Rebellis to Spain is the main card opener. He's -240 right now. I'm going to get you the knockout odds. He's going to get a knockout. He's going to knock out this guy, Waldo Cortez Acosta. He's a tank. -160 by knockout. To win in round one, he's even money, -105. I like that a lot. To Spain, -105 to get the first round knockout. Other than that, Tabitha Ritchie is she's Baby Shark. Everyone likes her. Everyone loves her.
Okay, I don't know anything about that.
You got the two smallest fighters.
Did she come out to Baby Shark? Is that?
I think she did at one point. I don't know if she still does.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's a decent bit.
But it's the two smallest fighters. They're fighting each other, Tabitha Ritchie and Tisha Pennington, formerly Tisha Torres.
Okay.
They are fighting each other. They're both like 5'1". They might be shorter than that. Like, that might be a generous 5'1" for both of them. So it's got the smallest two fighters. It's a very weird, like, shaped card. Sean Woodson is a guy who looks kind of like John Jones a little bit, just like lengthwise. He's like 6'2". He's got a 78-inch reach, but he fights at 145. So he looks like Slender Man.
Okay.
He should win. He fights Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres. It's just a fun card, in my opinion. I think I like all these fights are.
We're probably going too far with it. For
all right, JJ Aldrich +120. I think you can make some money on her. She is the fight. She opens the card. She's the curtain jerker. I like her. I like Rebellis to Spain to win in round one, -105 a lot. And I do like Derek. Got to go back to it. Derek Lewis. He last fought against Jailton Almeida. And in a fight that he did lose by decision, but it was a fight that made Jailton Almeida kind of look a lot worse. Like, you couldn't finish Derek Lewis, at where he's at. So Derek Lewis in front of a live crowd, not too far from Texas and St. Louis. I mean, everyone loves Derek Lewis, so I think he'll be ready to fight on a show. Yeah. So go ahead and bet Derek Lewis by knockout as well in the main event.
All right, very good. That's how you're making some money. That's fighting words for this week. Appreciate that. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com, who, of course, are proud sponsors of County Sports Zone, countysports.zone, where you can find the latest scores, schedules, everything you need to know for the high school sports playoffs this spring. Baseball, softball, boys and girls lacrosse, MIAA boys lacrosse postseason gets underway tomorrow. So go check it all out at countysports.zone with a brand new look, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com.
Giancarlo Stanton just yesterday hit a ball 119.9 miles per hour for another home run.
That is impressive.
It was
it's a shame he stinks otherwise.
It does, yeah.
Real bummer.
Fifth hardest hit home run ball in the StatCast era since 2015.
Wow. Since 2015.
4 balls have been hit harder.
Shohei?
Not Shohei, surprisingly.
I'm a little surprised by that.
Yeah, he had 118.7. That home run against the Nats that we saw a couple weeks ago. 118.7. That was outside the top 10.
Wow. Yeah. How about Judge?
Aaron Judge is number 4. The fourth hardest hit home run in the StatCast era. 121.1 miles per hour.
Yordan Alvarez.
Not in the top 5. Alvarez has not had one in the top, I think I'm looking at the top 15, not in the top 15.
I feel like he has.
It's possible. So, Stanton has a good bit of these. Judge has a few as well.
Oh,
so
okay. So they're taking up a chunk of the list. Acuna.
Ronald Acuna is a good guess. He's a great guess, actually, because he's number 3.
How about that?
And now kind of a trick question. The guy with the top 2.
Kind of a trick
because
question.
he was who the tidbit was based
Oh,
around.
it's Stanton. Well, that doesn't.
All right, well then let's do the top 10. The guy's not named Stanton in the top 10.
Guy's not named Stanton.
There's 2
in the
more.
top 10. There's 2 more.
Yeah. They both. So one did it in 2021.
Soler?
Not Jorge Soler.
Yelich?
Not Yelich. One did it in 2021.
Trout.
Not Mike Trout. The other did it in the 2022 NLCS.
2022 NLCS. Well, that should be easier to get.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to remember who was in the 2022 NLCS. And the way that time works, pal. All right, so if... Sorry, hang on. If last year's NLCS was Arizona, Philadelphia, that means that 2022 was Philly and San Diego?
Correct. In fact, both of these guys were in this series.
Oh, okay. So Bryce Harper?
Not Bryce Harper.
Okay, so Alec Boehm?
Not Alec Boehm.
Bryson Stott?
No, you're skipping the guy. It was in game 1. I don't want to say he led off the game, but he probably did.
Trey
he hits a
Turner?
lot of these. Not Trey Turner.
Oh, Schwarber.
Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, Schwarber.
Kyle Schwarber, 119.7 mile-per-hour home run in game 1 of the NLCS back in 22.
And then
this guy didn't do it.
Padre.
Yeah, Padre. Didn't do it in the series, but he is a Padre.
Manny
Machado. Correct. Those are your hardest hit home run balls.
Very good.
In the StatCast era.
Very good. It's time for us to get totally tubular.
It is.
We were doing so well. We were doing so well. We had been. I would have said it was one of our better efforts today, right up until that moment. Like it was all going well, and then it all fell apart like it was a Dog's Eye View song. I just thought we were all ready to go, and then now it's time for tubular.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meritus Park in Hagerstown, Maryland, home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland.
All right, here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. Obviously, the Orioles are off this evening, but 2 NBA playoff games on ESPN. Cavaliers-Celtics Game 2 at 7, Mavs-Thunder Game 2 at 9:30 as the home teams both look for 2-0 series leads. NHL, TNT, and True TV for Rangers-Hurricanes Game 3 at 7, and Avalanche-Stars Game 2 at 9:30. You want my breakdown of that one?
Yeah, what do you think's going to happen in the Avs-Stars game?
Dude, I just tell you, the Avalanche are loaded, man. Like, they're
had a big come-from-behind win the other night.
They're loaded.
You might be onto something.
They're just loaded, dude. What are you going to do about that? Fox Sports 1.
It's tough to stop.
I did
they've got...
I did appreciate... I can't remember. Somebody texted me yesterday, like, dude, what can you tell me about the Avalanche? Telling you, man. If you see me at a party... you're not going to see me at a party. What am I saying? You're definitely not going to see.
I'm going the other night.
Well, that's true. I did go to one. If you see me at the Orioles game tomorrow night, if you see me at my kids' baseball game tonight, if you see me anywhere, I'm telling you, please come ask me about the Avalanche. It would put a big smile on my face if you came and asked me about the Avalanche. Fox Sports 1, Royals Angels 9:30, MLB Network Mariners Twins at 1, Astros Yankees at 5, MLB TV for Diamondbacks Reds at 1. Golf Channel for round 1 of the PGA Wells Fargo Championship at 2. Access TV for Impact Wrestling tonight at 8. Some non-sports highlights?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Obviously, new episode of Welcome to Wrexham on Kimmel. I'm trying to think.
I did watch the first episode. I did watch the first episode. It's wonderful. I mean, it's a wonderful show. It was wonderful.
What league are they in now?
They're in the second league, so it's not the National League. It's called the
All right, I'll find out.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
Are you caught up?
No, I mean yes, I'm caught up. Not to this season,
but
yes.
you're caught up. Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's only one episode.
Yeah, so I'm not. So I'm pretty much caught up.
Yeah.
Chris Pine will be on Kimmel. He is in a movie called
What's Chris Pine promoting?
Pool Man, where I didn't really understand. He cleans pools. He looks like the Big Lebowski kind of like.
Okay.
Like he Annette Bening's in it, Danny DeVito are in it, and like he cleans pools and I think tries to become a PI. I'm pretty sure. It's in L.A. That's really all. That's really all I got on it. When did it come out? I didn't even write down when it comes out. It might be. I think it's in theaters. I don't know if it's this weekend. I guess Chris Pine.
Okay.
Ryan,
say so.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling will be on Colbert, and that's.
Is he still plugging Fall Guy?
I think so.
Still?
I think so. Maybe Barbie.
Feels like it came out a year ago. Jesus.
On HBO Max, Pretty Little Liars Summer School season premiere.
Can't miss
for all
that.
For all the Pretty Little
Liars. Is that still a thing?
Fans.
I feel like Pretty Little Liars has been a thing for a long time.
It has been. Yes. Okay. Summer School.
You say so.
On Netflix, got a classic. This is like a whole. Well, no. It's
by the way, I finally for book club. I try to wait to watch something we're watching for book club because I don't even know when we're going to be able to do book club again. So I try to wait until closer to book club so I don't forget about it. Right. So I've been waiting to watch Quiet on Set because that was our next one for book club. I finally watched it, and like I will tell you there's a lot of messed up stuff in there, obviously. But one of the things that was weirdest to me for them, like talking about how long ago, like Drake and Josh was. It was that long ago, and yet it was after me. Like,
oh man,
that's the terrifying part about thinking about the timing on some of these
Drake
things.
and Josh was great.
You say so.
That was a
Never watched an
show.
episode. Never, or iCarly, or
Well, speaking of iCarly,
Victorious, or any of those things.
So iCarly is in Mother of the Bride. Miranda Cosgrove is getting married, to like some hot guy, and it turns out her mom is Brooke Shields, and finds out that her boyfriend's dad, who she's getting married to, is Benjamin Bratt. And they, of course, have history, Brooke Shields and Ben Bratt. And so, it's, of course, a destination wedding in paradise, so a bunch of,
Why wouldn't it be?
So a bunch of, theatrics ensue as I'm going to go out on a limb. I assume it ends up well for Brooke Shields and Ben Bratt.
Just going to guess. And you know what? I'll never know, so...
this looks good. Bodkin. It's this new show on Netflix as well. Will Forte.
I assume Benjamin Bratt's still handsome though.
Oh, of course.
I assume that's still the case.
He was in Poker Face, the Natasha Lyonne.
I didn't
Peacock.
watch that.
I
but people said it was really good.
I loved it. I've watched it twice now already.
I'll try to. Really?
Yeah, I really like it.
That's weird. That's a weird bit.
How's that weird? It's a good show.
Rewatching a show already?
Yeah.
I would normally wait a little time before doing
it. Well, it came out February or January of like 23, I believe.
Okay.
It's been like 2 years. Well, no, I guess it hasn't been 2 years.
No, it is not. That's not how math works.
Will Forte is in Bodkin, and him and I forget who the co-star is, but it's Robin something. They're crime podcasters, and then some lady in Ireland. Yeah, I think Ireland. Bodkin's in Ireland. They need their help finding a serial killer, I believe. So Will Forte and his crime podcast crew go to Bodkin to investigate. And it looks pretty good. Looks funny, and then fear and suspenseful as well in this show called Bodkin.
Okay.
On Peacock, Love Undercover, new show, new reality dating show. 5 pro footballers who can't fall in love just because they're too rich and famous. Yeah. In Europe, everyone knows who they are. They come to L.A.
By the way,
nobody knows who they are.
The Kelseys have been living a charmed life, right? One, apparently there's starting to be some concern that Travis is making Taylor Swift drink too much. Apparently that's a thing now on the internet that like he's such a partier that like
is he?
I don't know, man. It's not
I'm sure he can definitely crush a few beers, but like I don't think he's doing it every night. He's the best tight end, one of the best tight ends in the history of the league.
I hear you. Jason Kelce is like, again, I would think one of the most likable like people in all of sports and media at the moment. Like comes off just as easily like one of the few people in the country that everybody can kind of agree about, right? Like, Jason, like you have a positive feeling towards. Apparently he's doing a bit this week where he's like accusing Secretariat of having been on steroids.
Well, if it's Jason Kelce saying, I'm going to listen.
No. I don't know. Like, it's so effing bizarre.
Is this just like it's getting blown out of proportion where it was a throwaway comment on the podcast?
I don't know where it started. I have no idea
like they know nothing
where
about
it
horse
started.
racing. They're like,
but I know he sent out This is one tweet today from Jason Kelsey.
Oh, today. That's weird. That is
one
weird.
tweet. Somebody apparently it was something he said on the show, and then somebody replied, "Secretariat wasn't on steroids. His heart was 3 times the size of a normal thoroughbred, so he was able to supply his body with oxygen faster. His heart weighed over 20 pounds when he died, and normal is 8." This is a single tweet from Jason Kelsey. Just going to put this out there. You know who else has enlarged hearts? People who take copious amounts of steroids. I'll admit, I don't know whether Secretariat was on steroids or not. It's impossible to know because in 1973, when Secretariat won the Triple Crown, there was not adequate testing available to find out. But the fact this horse had unparalleled muscular structure or stature and died with an enlarged heart and raced at a time when steroids were extremely prevalent without adequate testing raises flags in my book. Thoroughbred steroid use dates back to the 60s at least. I'm not saying what Secretariat did was unimpressive because he was likely also racing against other majorly juiced up horses at his time. And if still one tweet. And if Secretariat was indeed a natural horse, that would make his accomplishments all the more impressive. I just find it highly unlikely, given the circumstances of where the sport was at that time, how dominant the horse was in the era, and the records it still holds to this day. The enlarged heart, in my mind, is actually more evidence that at some point the horse was being juiced. There is a gene that some thoroughbreds carry that causes a larger heart.
One tweet?
One
what?
tweet that causes a larger heart.
So
But this wasn't just a larger heart. This was a heart large enough for the vet to say it was the largest heart he had ever seen. The horse was undoubtedly born with incredible natural mechanics and ability and may have been natural, but I also think that it's unlikely given the time it raced and what was happening with a lot of those horses and the lack of testing available.
Is this like a copy pasta maybe? Like
I don't know. Like the guy, the
it's
Talk
like a
Nats guy
Reddit
that
or
everybody was getting after this week. What is that? 6'5".
Yeah, no one likes the
backgammon
they
or something like that.
NATS. Woo. Apparently, Nats fans don't like that.
Well, I don't know. Is the guy,
Some don't.
the Talk Nats guy on Twitter was getting his ass kicked with the copy pasta this week. Like, was just getting his ass kicked by Orioles fans with the copy pasta this week. I have no idea. It's not. Here's my problem with this.
Jason Kelsey posted. There's no way.
Secretariat is one of the most beloved creatures in American history. This is a loser, dude. Like even if you have points, you're losing. It ain't worth it. Like pick another hill. It just ain't worth it. You're one of the most popular people in the country. Don't go after Secretariat. Secretariat is like one of the few things that everybody is just like, yeah, I love Secretariat. You don't know why. Maybe because you saw the stupid Diane Lane movie, right? Like that might be the only connotation that you have with Secretariat. But, yo, everybody loves, people that don't know about horse racing know about Secretariat. Maybe just another fight. Any other fight. Pick that one. Just not this one. It ain't worth it, Chief. Very weird bit. Very, very weird bit. What are you doing?
I don't know. I'm just trying to see. Like, I did a quick. Did Secretariat cheat? See if there's any.
We're not going to. That's not what we're going to do.
Well, I want to see if there's like a similar. Someone like wrote something.
Oh,
else
you're
similar
looking for a copy pasta to find? I don't know, man. That's the longest tweet I've ever seen in my life. Bizarre.
Did he have like italics and bold in it? And
no,
like how much effort
wasn't
was really
that.
put into this?
No, just
like the Chris Hoyles tweet I saw yesterday. It was like, there are things
underlined.
underlined.
They're trying to get attention. Clearly, very weird. All right, we
Chris
good?
Hoyles, that's what I should have made the tidbit. So Chris Hoyles, there's one other catcher not in the Hall of Fame. They had 2 seasons. I think I did save it. One other catcher not in the Hall of Fame that had multiple seasons of 25 homers, an OPS of 830, and fewer than 100 strikeouts in a single season twice. There's only one other catcher not in the Hall of Fame.
And is it someone who's not in the Hall of Fame yet, or someone?
I don't think he's going to get in. I don't think he will.
Posada?
Not Posada.
Jason Varitek.
Not Jason Varitek.
Sandy Alomar.
Not Sandy Alomar.
Javi Lopez.
Javi Lopez. Ding, ding, ding.
Another Orioles legend.
Yeah, really.
How about that?
This is from Not Gaetti, by the way, so if that it could be wrong.
Right, sure.
Could be wrong.
Just a Twitter account.
But this guy's verified, and
well, that doesn't mean anything, Griffin. If he's verified, it just means he's paying money. That's all, or she. I don't know.
Well, he said this. It's a large tweet, so I believe him. No one would put out false information on Twitter, right?
Sure.
It hasn't been community noted, so.
Orioles legends, Chris Hoyles and Javi Lopez. There you go. Are we good? Can we wrap up? Was there anything else tubular-wise that we needed to get to?
Yeah, there was a show called GOAT, The GOAT, on Prime Video.
Okay.
Daniel Tosh is hosting a reality show where they take the GOATs. Well, and it's funny the way he delivers, but he's like the best available from a bunch of random like Big Brother, Survivor, and stuff. Okay. No one I recognize.
It could be for you.
Like Wendell from I don't even know what season of Survivor. He was the one Survivor guy they were able to get. Wendell.
I'm good, Chief. I'm good. All right, we are good too. Thanks today to Nate Wiggins. That was great. Thanks also to Nick Samac, who was very cool. Thanks to Cameron Weston and to Jim Stagnitta from the Whipsnakes. So get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, I feel like we have we're meeting the other Nick Samac's buddy, right?
Yeah, correct.
Christina Lee.
High school rivals.
Yeah, right. Standing in an airport like,
Wait a minute.
I know you. Like, you're a thing, right? Like, yeah, I'm a thing. Are you a thing? You get drafted? Yeah, I got drafted too. That's
just become best friends.
That's crazy. I guess I should have followed up. Like, did they immediately recognize they were both Ravens draft picks, or did it still take a second?
Well, it sounds like they were both trying to be like.
Well, if they were both going to BWI, I assume. I mean, I guess they could be the Commanders, so I guess that's possible. Yeah, Rasheen Ali from Marshall, the running back selected in the 5th round, will join us tomorrow, and
we'll go to Aberdeen. Creed Williams.
Creed Williams from Aberdeen and Stuff and Things.
We'll preview the D-backs series.
All right, very good. And Stan will be here, of course,
yes,
tomorrow.
Of course.
Thanks to everybody. Did you talk to Proctor about?
What was I supposed
we
to
got to do the pickle Dr. Pepper thing.
Pickle pepper.
I mean, if he can't, then you and I just have to do it.
Pickle pepper?
Yeah, pick the pack of pickle peppers and pickle Dr. Peppers.
He wants to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he can't. He's got a new job. No, he's got a new job. I do know that. I don't know what his schedule's like.
We'll
with the new
tape
gig.
something.
What do you mean we're going to tape that?
Proctor needs to. He has to do this.
I think we're going to do that.
He needs to get punished.
Well, he can do it on his own, I guess. So he can do it via Zoom. All right, thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Washington County and Visit Hagerstown, the Maryland Jockey Club, Live Casino and Hotel, Atman's Deli, A.J. Michaels, Guilford Hall Brewery, Royal Farms, the Ed Block Courage Awards, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costa Sin, MSAA, Hartford Community College, Glory Days Grill, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Hey, speaking of Hartford Community College, I got an update. Both their teams are in this weekend for the championships, so get up to Bel Air this weekend and support them and check them out. Both teams are in. Have a great Thursday evening. Go nobody. Oh, did we do at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. He's at Griffin_Bass. Have a great Thursday night. Go nobody. Duke sucks.